Hello friends, Matt Wilson here with another video. Today we're going to be tackling Elvis Presley. This is all I'm going to use. I've got other various Elvis box sets, but you know, this is going to be a long video. So, and I'm only going to be doing the 50s and 60s albums because it would, this would be like an hour and a half video otherwise. There's a nice little complete RCA albums, CD box set, and I have not been able to read the backs of these CDs lately, so I'm going to be using this book, which tells me every album, every song on the album. So even though, I don't script these things, but I will need this just to read. All right, so Elvis Presley, the biggest rock and roll star in the 1950s. I know a lot of you guys are Chuck Berry fans, so am I, but Chuck simply wasn't as popular on the Billboard charts or sold as many records as Elvis. Nobody was. That's why they called him the King. All right, so I'm going to pull the first one out here, which is Elvis Presley. I'm going to find it in the book, and we are going to commence. All right, Elvis Presley. This is the iconic photograph of his first 1956 RCA album. You'll perhaps recognize, London Calling by The Clash uses the same color scheme and, black and white imagery. But of course, that's Paul Simon smashing his guitar on London Calling. This is a young, skinny, probably teenage Elvis Presley on here. This is a great album. It's almost half of this are Sun recordings. Of course, Elvis was with the Sun label before he signed to RCA. This is, I want to say, he started recording or releasing records in January 1956. He was with Sun for a couple of years before that. Those Sun singles were released, regionally in the South, and I'm sure you could get them elsewhere. But they were hits on, country radio stations and charts at that time. But Elvis never had a top 40 pop hit until Heartbreak Hotel, which was 1956, not on this album. Anyways, this is a great record, and that's how I'm going to be reading it. Okay, so Blue Suede Shoes, the Carl Perkins number, also another Sun performer, is the first track on here. Elvis had a hit with it, not as big of a hit as Carl Perkins, but it's still a great version, a bit faster than Carl's. I'm Counting on You is great. I Got a Woman is the Ray Charles number. Once I Did Love Affair, that's a cool song. I Love You Because, the classic country Leon Payne song. Just Because, that's Sun. Tutti Frutti is Little Richard number. He liked to do Little Richard covers. MC5, I just did a show. They did a cover of Tutti Frutti on their Back in the USA album. Trying to Get to You. That's, to me, that's a classic Sun single. I'm gonna sit right down and cry over you. I just sang Elvis for karaoke at a party and for last month and for Thanksgiving. I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darling. Blue Moon, another Sun tune, and Money Honey, the Drifters number. This is a great record, a great album. All right, so miss this at your risk. Elvis, the pretty much, equally classic second album, is his second RCA record. Starts with, boy, I'm sure glad I'm not trying to read that. All right, starts with Rip It Up, which is another Little Richard song. So 2 Little Richard covers on 2 albums. Love Me, which was the Lieberstoller tune, big hit. When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again, that's another famous Elvis song. Long Tall Sally, the second Little Richard cover on this album. First in Line, Paralyzed is a great song. That's another Blackwell. Well, it's always Blackwell. Elvis Presley gets his name on there, but Elvis did not write these songs. That was, deals worked out from like Colonel Parker, you know, that if Elvis was going to record your number, he gets the songwriting credit, but Elvis didn't write that stuff. So Glad You're Mine, Old Ship. I'm not going to keep going through every single song on these albums because, you know, this would take forever. All right. I Like Any Places Paradise. Ready Teddy. he did like his Little Richard, didn't he? So this is another classic album, Elvis. All right, Loving You. Guys, I love all these old Elvis albums. I love these Elvis songs. I've liked Elvis since I was a kid. I'm probably the biggest Elvis fan that I know. You know, I come from the rock era, but I've always loved 50s rock and roll. From the time that I saw American Graffiti in 1973 when it was theatrically showing, and I had the album shortly after that, and I just, yeah, I love 50s and early 60s pre-British invasion American rock and roll. It's in my DNA. I would do more of these shows on 50s guys, but the problem is I don't have each individual CD to show you. What I have a lot of is like big box sets, like with Buddy Holly, or a lot of guys, I have the Bear Family box sets, you know, Johnny Burnett, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, etc. But I don't have like a album cover to show you like this. So I might work that out though. You know, like I might just pick an artist and make a CDR of the songs that are on the album and then go to Discogs online and print out the album cover and show you that. But that's going to take time. Anyways, so back to Loving You. Loving You is another great album. Let's just look. Mean Woman Blues is the Roy Orbison number. Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear is on here. Loving You is on here. Got a Lot of Living to Do. He does Fats Domino's Blueberry Hill. Have I Told You Lately? And then as a bonus track on this CD, Tell Me Why. So another great album. Loving You. Pretty much everything that Elvis did in the 50s is completely essential to any understanding of rock and roll in that era. All right. Okay. Elvis's Golden Records. Let me tell you why I'm going to be going over these greatest hits for you. Oh, actually, you know what? If I'm going to be doing this in order, I'm going to put this aside, and it's going to be the Christmas album. That's going to be next, right? Yes, it is. Okay. It's became, oh, wow. This actually has like a little booklet in it and some. I like these little cardboard reproductions of the LPs. Elvis's Christmas album, in terms of 50s rock and roll Christmas LPs, or just 50s Christmas LPs in general, this is a classic. You hear songs on the radio from this now, this time of year, because this is December 2024. Santa Claus is Back in Town, White Christmas, the Irving Berlin number, of course, that everyone does. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. You know, that's Gene Autry. You know, guys, Elvis never wrote any songs, as I was alluding to earlier. But a lot of singers at this time did not. It wasn't until, you know, really Bob Dylan came along, or the Beatles, you know, but Dylan was precedes the Beatles, to where it became de rigueur to come up with your own material, right? I mean, Sinatra didn't write his own stuff, but in the rock and roll field, you were having, you know, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, those guys were all songwriters, but Elvis didn't. Elvis, you know, since he kind of precedes all those guys, he comes from a previous era, and Elvis didn't have to write his own material. And of course, it's got, oh God, what's the main one? Oh, well, I thought the Blue Christmas was on here. No, it is. I missed it. Blue Christmas, the Billy Hayes, Jay Johnson number, is my favorite Elvis Christmas song. It is probably one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. I'll have a blue Christmas. You've heard it. Anyway, it's on there. Okay, now I was out of order. Elvis's Christmas, or Elvis's Golden Records. This is a classic, and I'll tell you why. And I will name the songs on here. The great thing about the four Elvis's Golden Records albums that came out, this was the first one, was that they almost entirely consisted of 45s, which weren't on the LPs. So this functions as a, as an LP on its own. Yeah, these 45s were previously released, but not on LP, or at least, for the most part. So listen to what's on here. Hound Dog, Lovin' You, that was previously released. All Shook Up, Heartbreak Hotel, you finally get it on here. Jailhouse Rock, Love Me, Too Much, Don't Be Cruel, That's When Your Heartaches Begin, Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, Love Me Tender, Treat Me Nice, Any Way You Want Me, That's How I Will Be, and I Want You, I Need You, I Love You. That is prime, classic Elvis. All those songs, all of them hits, all of them golden records. So, yeah, that's a great album to have. King Creole was his first, I'm not telling you guys the years that these were released. I got to turn on lots of pictures. King Creole is 1958. This was his first soundtrack album. Elvis started making movies in the 1950s. He always wanted to be a movie star, big James Dean fan, blah, blah, blah. Could he act? Not really. But that, he definitely had ambitions beyond just being a singer, right? And so the movies, well, when we get into the 60s, you're going to see most of them are terrible. But they got Elvis in them. And even though, no, I have not seen all of them, when I do watch them, it's fun just to watch him. This is a pretty good one, though, King Creole. So he had done ones before this, too. So this isn't the first one, but we're only dealing with the albums here. Okay, King Creole. Hard-Headed Woman's on here. Trouble is on here. Don't Ask Me Why. Even cheesy things like Crawfish is interesting. So I like the record. Like I said, I like all of his albums in the 1950s and beyond. You're gonna see. I'll tell you when we get to one that I think is not that good. All right, for LP fans only, it's different in the UK. You know what I'm going to tell you. This is 1959. He had already been drafted by then. He was drafted in 1958. He got out in 1960, but RCA had him record stuff before he went in, and this would have been one of those albums, and because they were going to keep that assembly line going of Elvis product while he was away, and it's strong. Look at this. You see the picture of him here with blonde hair? That's his real hair. Yeah, Elvis dyed his hair black. He was blonde. He also had a twin brother who died at birth. So it would have looked just like him. So what's on here? Okay, well, you got some Sun stuff on here. That's All Right. That's one of the great, Elvis singles of all time. And it's a Sun record. And since RCA bought out Sam Phillips's rights with Elvis material, they could release Sun stuff. Mystery Train is on here. Those two are two completely essential Elvis songs, two essential rockabilly songs. Hell, he's practically inventing rockabilly there. On here, Playing for Keeps, My Baby Left Me, it's Arthur Crudup, which, it's very similar to another song that Arthur wrote, That's All Right. I Was the One. He does Shake, Rattle, and Roll, which Bill Haley had already done earlier, but Bill Haley didn't write it either. It's a Charles Calhoun number. I'm Left, You're Right, She's Gone, another great Sun song. You're a Heartbreaker, another great Sun song. And on this CD, as a bonus track, two bonus tracks, I Don't Care the Sun Don't Shine and Let Me. This is actually one of his better 50s albums, all right? So for LP fans only. Okay, that ends the 50s portion. Oh, no, it doesn't. A Date with Elvis does. My bad. All right, so there you go. Okay. What am I going to tell you about A Date with Elvis? It's another great album, all right? Let's say what's on here. Blue Moon of Kentucky, the Bill Monroe. Let me tell you a little story about that. Okay, so Bill Monroe is a classic bluegrass guy, right? Plays the mandolin. He did the original version of Blue Moon of Kentucky. Elvis covered it when he was with Sun, had a success with that. Bill Monroe heard Elvis's version and he went back in and he re-recorded Blue Moon of Kentucky, slightly faster, make it sound more rockabilly. But anyways, you get the Elvis Sun version on here. This is another 1959 album, so it's again released by RCA while Elvis was in the Army. You can see the picture there. You're So Square, Baby, I Don't Care. Great song. Elvis plays bass on that number. Milk Cow Blues Boogie, Sun, classic. Baby, Let's Play House. Again, more. See, you can see why RCA was releasing Sun material here, because he was in the Army and couldn't be recording new material. Good Rockin' Tonight, another classic Sun song. I Forgot to Remember to Forget. And then bonus tracks, Don't Leave Me Now and Harbor Lights. You get plenty of Sun material on these two records. All right, so it's, even if you didn't own any Sun 45s, if you had all the RCA albums, you pretty much didn't need to own any Sun material. Okay, this is his second greatest hits LP. 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong, 1959. This was his third album of 1959, and it's pretty much as good as the first one. There he is with his blonde hair or light hair there. Let me tell you what's on this album, and I'll go through every track too. I Need Your Love Tonight, Don't, that's the Lieber Solar number. Wear My Ring Around Your Neck, My Wish Came True, I Got Stung, One Night, A Big Hunk of Love, I Beg of You, Now and Then, There's a Fool Such as I, Don't You Think It's Time. Only 10 tracks on here, so definitely less than the original one, but again, all big numbers, all ones that you want. Another chock full of hits album where the hits weren't on previous albums, or at least for the most part. I'm not really keeping track of that, all right? 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong. Look at that suit. It's almost like a nudie suit, but it's not as far as I know. I don't know. Okay. Now we're done with 1950s. 1960, one of his best albums. Elvis is Back. This is him fresh out of the Army. Now would be a good time to mention the way that RCA handles the, see how it says the living stereo on here? Handles the mono stereo issue with Elvis. Everything recorded in the 50s is in mono as far as I know. Everything recorded in the 60s is stereo. So even though I'm quite sure, most, if not all, of his material in the first half of the 60s have mono mixes, I'm not quite sure if they're true mono mixes. So I guess RCA just solves that issue by just releasing everything from the 60s in stereo. So when you get a CD of Elvis, one of his 60s albums, it's going to be in stereo. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anyways, Elvis is Back is a great album. Make Me Know It, Fever, The Girl of My Best Friend, I Will Be Home Again, Dirty Dirty Feeling, I might as well just tell you all the songs. Thrill of Your Love, Soldier Boy, Such a Night, that was a hit. It Feels So Right, Girl Next Door, Wanna Walk In, Like a Baby, and his really good version of Reconsider Baby by Lowell Folsom, which is you want to hear Elvis singing the blues, that's it. No real huge hits on the album as far as I know, although some of these were singles, but it's a very strong LP. All right, so there you go. Elvis is Back, 1960. All right, GI Blues. At this point, only his second soundtrack LP. Not every Elvis movie had an LP. Sometimes they only had an EP. Like, Viva Las Vegas, which, we all love that song, right? There's no album called Viva Las Vegas, or at least there wasn't at the time. I don't know what there is now posthumously. But, singles, 45s, EPs. Anyways, so GI Blues, not as good as King Creole, but not horrible either. Just looking at this, Wooden Heart is on here. Wooden Heart was a big hit overseas. Not so much here in the States, though. I like GI Blues. I like Pocket Full of Rainbows. he redoes Blue Suede Shoes here. And there's a bonus track, Tonight's All Right for Love. So I'm going to say average in terms of Elvis soundtracks. But again, I've actually seen this turn up on some lists of best albums from the 60s. So I think those are probably hardcore Elvis fans placing it so high. All right. Everyone knows that Elvis was a huge gospel guy. He loved gospel music. You know, he took his own music seriously. Oh, by the way, it's a good time to say, too, that Elvis pretty much produced his own sessions. Even though he doesn't get his name as the producer on anything, again, that I know of, Elvis ran his own sessions from the beginning that when he started with RCA. So the sound of an Elvis Presley record is as he wanted it. You know, he would do as many takes as he felt he needed. And, you know, he got them, whether you think it's great or not, it's the way Elvis wanted. So anyways, his Hand in Mine is one of his stronger gospel LPs. I won't go over the songs because you're not going to know them unless you know gospel music. But, you know, Elvis had one of the great voices, and he could really sing. You know, everyone says what a great voice, you know, someone like, I don't know, Roy Orbison had, and he did. I think Elvis was pretty much on Roy Orbison's level. He probably might not have been able to hit those high notes in quite the same way that Roy could, but Elvis's voice could go high, and he could maintain his pitch. So anyways, his Hand in Mine is one of his great, what is it, 61? Nope, 1960. Still one of his great gospel albums. All right? Okay, here is perhaps the first average album. Something for everybody. This is 1961. All right, so his first full calendar year out of the Army, and he's already starting to cruise. You know, he's starting to coast, right? He's not hungry anymore. If there was any doubt that he was going to be back at #1 when he got out of the Army, that was quickly answered by the fact that he was as popular as he ever was, pretty much. Oh, what's on here? Well, I like Put the Blame on Me. Judy, I suppressed someone I fell. It's an average album. How high did it get? Oh God, #1 pop. #1 pop, right? Another gold album too. So you know, he wasn't suffering in 1961. Blue Hawaii, one of his more famous movies, probably again one of the more famous soundtracks, but I'm not crazy about it, folks. Again, I'm not crazy about his soundtrack albums. There are good songs to be found on virtually any of them, but I think you'd probably be better off with a good compilation of his soundtrack music than you would just, you know, having all of them. Of course, if you're going to get a box set, you know, like this, then you're going to have everything anyway. So anyways, Blue Hawaii, what's I like the song Blue Hawaii. I think I've heard Willie Nelson sing that. Can't Help Falling in Love is on here. Wise men say, okay, no more singing Elvis. Rockahula Baby, that's a cheesy one, but that was a hit too. Oh, that's probably Beach Boy Blues. And no, I don't think that had anything to do with the Beach Boys getting their name. This came out in October 20th, 1961. I think the Beach Boys were already the Beach Boys by that point. So anyways, Blue Hawaii, kind of a cheesy movie, kind of a cheesy album, but still fun. All of this is fun. All right? Okay. Moving on. I'm going to call Potluck another average Elvis album. This is 62? Yeah. This only made it to #4. So sales slightly slipping, but he's still a major guy, you know, 1962. Yep. What's on here? Kiss Me Quick is good. Such an Easy Question. I'm Yours. God, that was #11 pop. I forgot that was such a big hit. I Like How He Sings Something Blue. Suspicion. Yeah, he does that one well. Night Rider. That's the one you never forget. I think he actually did help write that. You know, now that I look at the songs on this, I might like Potluck better than I liked the other album before that I said was average. So there you go. All right, Potluck. Maybe not as average as I remember. Okay, now we're still at 62. He is cranking them out now, guys. This is kind of just product. Girls, girls, girls. I said I wasn't going to sing anymore, didn't I? Yeah, I lied. This is not a good movie in terms of the album. Let's see what's on it. Girls, Girls, Girls is all right. Where do you come from? I do remember that one. Return to Sender. God, well, there you go. Song of the Shrimp. Well, it's got Return to Sender on it. To me, that's classic pop Elvis. So, but does that redeem the whole album for you? Well, you be the judge. All right. I think I just have the 45, but there you go. Okay. And boy, are we at 63 now? Yes, we are. Number 4 pop though, so it's the same sales. Another soundtrack. So at this point, by 63, you know, going into the studio and recording songs for these movies that a lot of these songs he didn't even want to sing. You know, this was not music that he was choosing. Like I was telling you how he ran his own sessions. He ran his sessions. The sessions he made when he was recording stuff that he wanted to. I don't know about these movie soundtracks. I'm sure he could veto things, but I think he would sing any old crap on these sessions. So I can't say that he's functioning as an artist anymore by 1963. I think he's just doing what he's told. Keep the money coming in, keep the girls coming. Well, he was with Priscilla by this point, right? She was very young, but they weren't married, of course. She was underage, and I highly doubt that he was being faithful. But anyway, it happened at the World's Fair. What's on this one? They Remind Me Too Much of You. I know that song. One Broken Heart for Sale. Number 11 pop. That's a hit. I got a lot of stuff. I don't even Beyond the Bend. I actually remember that one too. I'm gonna say another average to mediocre soundtrack. Okay, depending upon your point of view. All right. And it's just in time in 63 as the LPs are starting to lag for Elvis's Gold Records Volume 3. It's another good one, folks, another real good one. This is obviously, since we're going in chronological order, we're going in sequential order, was his best 60s album, even though it's a compilation album, since, you know, the one he made right after he got out of the Army. Listen to these ones. It's Now or Never. Stuck on You, Fame and Fortune, I Gotta Know, Surrender, I Feel So Bad, Are You Lonesome Tonight, Marie's the Name, Is It His Flame, that's one of my favorite ones. Little Sister, another one of my favorite. Those are both songs on the same 45. Good Luck Charm, Anything That's Part of You, and She's Not You. Those are all winners. This is another total 5-star classic LP. Total value for your money. You know, hardly any of those songs were on LPs. All right. Say what you will about his LPs in the 60s, he can still put out great compilations. Okay, and right after the success of that, we're back to the cheese. Fun in Acapulco, another 1963 album. I should be keeping track of how many albums he's releasing per year now. Was it like 3? Fun in Acapulco, I've never even seen this movie. So I never saw it happen at the World's Fair either, I don't think, but I've definitely never seen this one. Okay, what's on this one? I'm just gonna talk about the songs I know. Wow. No Room to Rumba in a Sports Car. I know that title, but I don't know if I know the song, but I've heard all these albums, so I must have heard it. And I can hear, oh, Bossa Nova, baby. Hey, Bossa Nova, baby, keep on working, and slowly but surely. 2 songs I actually, you know, remember as being good. And that's about the usual for these cheesy 60s soundtracks. 2, 3, if you're lucky, good songs. All right? And of course, if you grew up with these records and you love them and, you know, you love the movies when you were a kid, you're going to feel differently about them. But I got to be objective in comparison to other Elvis records. I can't say too much about these soundtracks. And, even though we're not going to go into the 1970s in this video, just because it would be too long, right? When he quit doing these soundtracks in the late 60s, he just started releasing tons of live albums after that. So the live albums in the 70s almost like became to him what the soundtracks were in the 60s. So, all right. Okay, Kissing Cousins. This is 64, right? Yeah. 6 pop. So even though he's been releasing cheesy albums now for a while, they're still making the top 10. 64, this is April. So this is the Beatles era now. This is British invasion time. So, I don't think he's even noticing. I'm sure he knew who the Beatles were, but it's like he's still putting out crap like this when the competition is getting stiff. Competition's getting fierce for the minds and the hearts and the wallets of young kids. Okay, Kissin' Cousins. I do like that cheesy song. Sorry. What else is on here? Wow. 2 versions of Kissin' Cousins. It's a Long Lonely Highway. Wow, this one might be one of the worst. I don't recognize hardly anything on this album. So, yeah, I really can't say that, buy the 45, folks. Kissing Cousins, that'll make it all right. All right, Roustabout. Wow, how many soundtracks in a row are there? This is 64 still cranking them out, right? But he's not even going into the studio to make albums anymore. Every time he's recording, he's just recording soundtracks. He should have been more on the ball in terms of keeping up with the competition at this point. But he didn't care. He was Elvis. He still looked good. He still sang well. And so this is another one I have not seen. Roustabout. Little Egypt. Yeah, I remember. That was a Coasters number. Poison Ivy League. Let's see what else is on here. Wow. Nothing. Wow. Nothing. I don't really know any of those songs. Not his versions of them. So one of the worst soundtracks he ever made, maybe? Okay. Girl Happy. Okay, now I'm going to stop, and I'm going to see how many soundtrack LPs he's released. So Girl Happy, Roustabout, Kissin' Cousins, Fun in Acapulco, that's 4. And then Elvis's Golden Records, Volume 3. Then happened at the World's Fair, so 5, interrupted only by a compilation. Girls, Girls, Girls is 6. And Potluck was way back in 62. 6 soundtrack LPs in a row, with the exception of Golden Records Volume 3. Yeah, I gotta say the king was being lazy here. All right, so let's talk about Girl Happy. Are we on 65 now? Yep, number 8. So again, sales slightly slipping, but even stuff like this is still making the top 10. Is it a gold record? It's a gold record. So you can see why his people weren't telling him, you got to go back in the studio and record some good stuff. He's coasting, folks. He's coasting. Okay, Girl Happy, that's a decent song. Do the Clam. Good Lord. 21 in the pop charts. I don't think I even remember that song. Pup on a String, that's pretty good. 14 pop. So, okay, 2, whatever. Pretty much the same as the other ones. Before I pull it out of the magic box, will it be another soundtrack? No, it's an album. All right, Elvis for Everyone came out in 1965. Now, if you're keeping track, folks, he hadn't made an album, as to say a non-soundtrack album, since 1962. So you think that Elvis for Everyone would be really good, right? It's okay. It's okay. Let's see what's on here. Hank Williams' number, Your Cheating Heart. Oh, My Way Tomorrow Night, Memphis, Tennessee, the Chuck Berry tune. Still doing 50s cover versions. Forget Me Never, Sound Advice. Wow. Nothing on here that's really successful on the pop charts, unless I'm reading this wrong. Okay. And yet, I have my memories of the album. It's not bad. The last time I played it, I thought, it's okay. Probably as good as Potluck anyway. But he's still coasting. this is a guy who's kind of stuck in the past now, the 1950s. You can tell Elvis didn't have anything in common with 1965 rock or rock and roll. The stuff he liked was from a previous era. And what was he going to cover? A Beatles number? Well, he would cover Beatles stuff later on, but not at this early, stage. But anyways, Elvis for Everyone, not bad. And with that little, bit of good news, he was recording an album for himself. We're back to crap. Harem Scarum, we're in 1965, still number 8 pop. Still number 8. Maybe if people would have stopped buying these soundtrack albums at the time, he may have been scared into, being forced into to making a stand and choosing songs that he wanted to record again. But no, you get this. You get Harem Scarum. So let's see what's on this one. I'm betting nothing. No, I don't recognize any of these songs. So maybe I'm going to make a stand and say this is his worst soundtrack album. I don't know. I'm not going to play them all again to tell you for sure. Frankie and Johnny, 1966. Ooh, now this one only made number 20 pop. So a significant drop from number 8, 1966. What was Harem Scarum that was 65. So first album of the new year, came out in March. Oh my God, this is a platinum album though. A platinum album. Wonder how how the RIAA does its figuring. Anyways, all right, let's see what's on Frankie and Johnny. Well, the song Frankie and Johnny, pop 25, made easy listening number 3. He sings it all right. I mean, everyone and their grandmother has sung that song. Listen to these titles. Petunia, the Gardener's Daughter. Please Don't Stop Loving Me. That made number 45 pop. Well, whatever. A platinum album, guys. Okay. All right. Number 15 pop. This one doesn't even say it's a gold album though. This is Paradise Hawaiian Style, obviously a retread of his earlier Blue Hawaii. Listen to these song titles, guys. Queenie Wahine's Papaya. Dayton, A Dog's Life. Wow. If Harem Scarum isn't one of his worst soundtracks, it's got to be this one. All right? This is where reviewing these albums is starting to be tedious. And hey, we're not done. 1966, Spin Out, except this one is not bad. This made number 18 pop, but listen what's on here. Stop, Look, and Listen. He kind of sings that one all right. All That I Am made number 41 pop. Spin Out made number 40 pop. Down in the Alley, I like that one. He does a Bob Dylan song, Tomorrow's a Long Time. This is worth it just for that. Elvis sings it real well. And I'll Remember You. For a Bob Dylan number, I'm going to say Spin Out might be worth your time. Doesn't mean every song on here is good. Hell no. But anyways, that's 66. Moving on to 67, The Summer of Love, psychedelic music. What's Elvis going to do? He's going to make another gospel album. How Great Thou Art. This is a good one, though. Guys, you got to understand that in Elvis's world, in country artists' world, too, the 60s as we know it didn't even exist. They're just a bunch of smelly hippies and drugs and, these guys. What's that Merle Haggard, line about moonshine was still the greatest pleasure, whatever. This is another good gospel album. How Great Thou Art. At least Elvis is singing music here that he loves. He loves this music. All right? This is not just a cheesy, 60s soundtrack assignment that he's just taking the money and running with, going into the studio and like a zombie singing what they tell him to. He loves these songs. So you want to hear him sing with passion? There you go. And that's 3 times platinum. Oops. So people, his fans, turn out in numbers to buy this stuff. Okay, we're cruising. We're cruising. 1967 still, Double Trouble. I've never seen this one either. In fact, I can't, going back over these soundtracks, I can't recall the last movie that I did see. I saw Viva Las Vegas, but that's not an album, right? All right, so Double Trouble. What's on this one? Boy. Long-legged girl with the short dress on. Number 63 pop. I barely remember that song. Old MacDonald. Really? I don't know, guys. Blue River. Kind of remember that one. Number 95 pop. Yeah, he's not even having hits too much off of these soundtracks. This is about the time. Is this 68, 67? This is about the time when he's realizing something's wrong, that he has to get back in the game, you know. But he would still make movies, though, till like 1969. All right. Oh, God, here's another one. Clam Bake. It's getting painful. This one only made number 40 pop. It's barely making the top 40. 1967 still. Look at him. There he is. Same haircut, same smile. All right, Elvis, what you got here? Well, Guitar Man, that's a good one. He sings Guitar Man. Well, that's a Jerry Hubbard song. Number 43 pop. That's a better song, I think, than that. God, anything else? I'm looking desperately for something like that's there. Big Boss Man, 38 pop. The Jimmy Reed number, which, you know, it says Al Smith and Luther Dixon wrote it, though. So, all right, you know, a couple good songs again. So it's the same old, same old. If there's any real fans of these soundtrack albums in the 60s, say something in the comments. You guys haven't been commenting at all lately. Okay, just when we needed it, Elvis's Gold Records Volume 4. Now, the hits had been drying up by this point, but this is still a solid record. I had this on vinyl growing up, and I think it's a great album. All right. Listen what's on here. Love Letters, he sings that well, even though it only made number 38 on the charts. Witchcraft made 32 in the charts. It Hurts Me, 29. What I Say, the Ray Charles number, 21 on the pop charts. Please Don't Drag That String Around was a failed single, but I like it. Indescribably Blue, 33 pop. So there hasn't been a big hit yet, but I do enjoy these songs. You're the Devil in Disguise, that was number 9. Oh no, number 9 R&B. It was number 3 pop. Cool. That was back in 1963 though. So since this album came out in 68, that was, you know, years ago. Lonely Man is 32 pop. A Mess of Blues is 32 pop. Ask Me is 12 pop. Ain't I Lovin' You Baby is 16 pop. That goes all the way back to the 50s for that one. And Just Tell Her Jim Said Hello. I always liked that one. That's 55 pop. Well, that's a better song than the chart placing. And for the bonus tracks, Wild in the Country, 26 pop, and Viva Las Vegas, 29 pop. So this is a great CD in this box with the bonus tracks. Not a lot of obvious Elvis songs, but some really good charting single Elvis songs. There wouldn't be a fifth Golden Records album until years later, so outside of the context of this. And he has to return to soundtracks, doesn't he? We're in 1968, Speedway. This has got to be it, right? This has got to be the last cheesy soundtrack. What's on here? Your Time Hasn't Come Yet, Baby. Number 70 pop. Number 50 country. I barely remember that. Who Are You? Who Am I? All these song titles. Your Groovy Self. He's finally acknowledging the 60s. Western Union. Yeah, I'm sure it's terrible. All right. Okay. This came out in 1968. Singer presents Elvis singing Flaming Star and Others. This is not really, I think Singer was like a subsidiary of RCA. So it's not even a full RCA album. This isn't gold or platinum. But what's on here? Flaming Star is good, going back to March of 1961. That's from the Elvis by Request EP. What else is on here? Too Much Monkey Business, Chuck Berry. She's, Do the Vega. Tiger Man. Oh boy, I think he used to sing that song back in the Sun days. So, I don't know if it's even a real Elvis album, but it's in the box, so we will count it. All right. He finally does the comeback special in late 1968. We've all seen it. It's a classic. He's looking good. He's dressed in black leather. He's still Elvis. He's not doing too much that's new. He's not making too many concessions to the 1960s. But that's a great album. Elvis, I've had this my whole life. I've had, the LP. I've got the DVDs of the special with all the stuff that was recorded at the same time. This is the NBC TV special soundtrack. It went platinum. Everything is on here. He's done before, except Memories. The Billy Strange, it's Mac Davis wrote that. Memories went to number 35 pop. I love how he sings that though. And then If I Can Dream, which made number 12 pop. So that was probably the biggest hit that he had in a while. But the whole album is good. I recommend it, but watch the special. I like the special even more. I think this album is in mono, if memory serves. Anyway, okay, so we're getting down to the end of the 60s now. From Elvis in Memphis, well, folks, this is the best album that he made in the 60s. This is 69. This is a gold record. This even made number 2 on the country charts. It's well produced. It is similar to a then current country album. Wearing That Love Down look, Only the Strong Survive, Long Black Limousine, I'm Moving On, the Hank Snow tune, Power of My Love, I like that one. He does Gentle on My Mind well. True Love Travels on a Gravel Road, Any Day Now, the Burt Bacharach number. And the big hit was In the Ghetto, which made number 3 pop. So In the Ghetto was a bigger hit than whatever, came from, I guess, If I Can Dream, which came from the TV special. This is a great album. If you want to pick up something from Elvis in the late 60s, make it this, all right? From Elvis in Memphis. Okay, this is the last one from the 1960s, so let's be friends. No, that's not it. From Memphis to Vegas, from Vegas to Memphis. This is now he's already doing his Vegas shows. He's playing live dates again, which he had not done since the 50s, I think. Before his TV show. So this is it's a lot of live stuff, and then it's the second half is studio stuff. Inherit the Wind is good. Stranger in My Own Hometown, the Percy Mayfield song, he does that real good. From a Jag to a King, Fear is Moving On. It's pretty good. This was the first live stuff. Well, the TV show was also live, but you get a little selection of how he sounded live at that time with new studio recordings. So again, I like the album. Not like From Elvis in Memphis, but it's certainly good enough. And that, friends, is that. 48 minutes, that's actually faster than I thought because I blew through that. That's fine now. So, Elvis. What can I say to wrap up Elvis Presley? I love his voice. He looked great. I don't care that he did not write his own material. You have to accept there's a cheesy aspect to Elvis. But he liked it. It's what he liked. There's a cheesy aspect to the Beach Boys. Elvis is not rock so much as rock and roll. And again, maybe I'm splitting hairs and, giving you saying that there's a difference between those two terms, but there is. In the 50s, Elvis had a guitar. He played a guitar. He inspired people to pick up the guitar, but he wasn't really a guitar player so much, not like Chuck Berry or Bo Diddley or even, Buddy Holly. In the 50s, rock and roll the guitar was not the dominant thing. There's more sax solos in rock and roll songs in the 50s. Hell, doo-wop is an aspect of rock and roll. And doo-wop is all vocals, right? Vocal harmonies. So to say that Elvis doesn't rock, it's like in the 50s he rocked. Jailhouse rock, that rocks hard, you know? It's not guitar, you know, but I mean, Elvis was a powerhouse. And I would not be talking to you right now about rock music if not for Elvis Presley. So I love him. If you don't, I get it. I said the same thing when I did my Dylan show a couple days ago. I get it. But for those, of us who are true believers, I'll take Elvis to the grave. So Matt Wilson signing off.